выпустил. Поэтому дверь была не заперта.
Hey guys, this is Unmarried Master back for another what if. This is gonna be what if Asta had Goku Black's powers. Last we left off, Asta and Yuno both worked together to defeat the Chain Wielder. Now we get back into the actual what if. They get back to the church and Sister Lily talks to Asta about why do you think why were there like two grimoires that combined together, and also the kids were surprised by that as well. Knowing when before answering Sister Lily's question, he goes that will you please marry me as in canon, but she does her water magic holy fist of love, but instinctively Asta puts his hand up and it gets blocked and the water just falls down. Everyone's surprised that ever since Asta had got his grimoire, he's been acting different. His body's kinda changed as well. Then after Yuno, and the next day Yuno goes out to train like he would in canon, and Asta, instead of going out straight away, he eats more than usual, and then he goes out to the same place he would train like in canon, which is inside the demon's mouth. As his training this time around, he uses his divine energy sword. He cuts down a tree, and it just, to him, it felt like the tree wasn't even there when he moved the sword and threw it. At first he thought that the sword just doesn't cut physical objects; it just cuts objects that are made of magic. But then the tree was about to fall on top of it. As the tree is falling, Asta, upon instinct, just swings his sword up, which cuts right through the middle of the tree. Then the tree falls on each side of Asta, and as if Asta in the end is surprised that how fast and how easy it is to cut through a giant tree like this with this sword of mine. For the next 6 months, Asta and Yuno train. Asta training his body and his ki or magic. So far, he's learned 1 attack, strong attack spell, and 2 minor attack spells. The light side of his grimoire contains the weak spells. The dark side contains the strong attack spells. So the energy sword is contained in the dark side, and the 2 other spells, energy charge, divine charge, and ki blast, is stored in the other. We don't completely skip through the time skip, as Asta learns another spell. As he's training, and in his training he runs into a pack of wild wolves. Trying to get away, he runs away, and a uh, pack of wolves, and running as he's running away he runs into a tree, and by hitting the tree he falls. The wolves almost caught up. As soon as Asta recovered, he started running again, not looking where he was going. And as he looked looked around him, looked behind him, the wolves had stopped at the edge of a cliff. When Asta looked down, he was falling, not noticing that he went off a cliff. Soon as he noticed that, he panics and tried to use his other spells to slow him down. Nothing helped. In his mind, he was thinking, is this the end of me? And I was supposed to be the Wizard King. I was meant to be the strongest. How can I lose to this? Which aggravates Asta even more. Slowly, Asta's mortal energy, or the light side of his energy, and the dark side of his energy combined to give him the spell called Float. He was floating in the air when he used the spell. He trained with his 4 spells. First using his key blasts to get them accurate as possible, and slowly increasing their power and amount of mana he used when using them. The next, energy sword, which was really draining, and he could barely use it for about 2 minutes at first. To train it, he brought it out and tried to keep it as long as he could. And lastly, he trained his flight, which was the taxing of them all. He could barely even float like 2 meters above the ground for not even more than a minute. At first, when he got the spell, for the next 3 months he trains all of these one by one. So one day he trained one, and the other day he trained the others. When he ran out of energy or mana, he used his divine charge to allow him to fully charge his mana back up, which allowed him to get stronger, get used to his spells, and get more mana in a quick time. After the 3 months, he decides to change up his tactics. He wanted to try out how he could get stronger faster, and he asked Sister Lily to give him some advice. She said, why don't you try fighting with someone? He asked and obviously being arrogant and being himself, accepts and says, I hope you don't die. When Asta goes up against at first was unable to keep up with Asta because of his um, natural speed, as in his body was really strong, and it got enhanced by his grimoire's magic as well. So he was a lot faster than in canon, and he was his body was about the same anyway. As he's fighting, he 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 uses he uses his ki blast to keep at bay, uh, to and give him a bit more damage, which don't work when uses his wind slashes. Then Asta decides to get in close, and he gets his sword out. When he cuts at moves away, and does his wild the tornado he did against those noble. Obviously not as powerful as that. After trying to dodge it, he jumps up in the air high as he could and uses float, which allowed him to dodge the attack altogether, and immediately when he passes the attack, he deactivates float. Tells Asta, why don't you use more than one spell out at once? Asta face palms and then starts to use every spell altogether. When he runs out of mana, he uses energy charge, screaming like Goku. At first, didn't know what he was doing, and was thinking that he might be out of mana and he might have overdone it. That's why he's screaming. But as soon as Asta's finished charging up, he charges at and just destroys Asta by using his wind magic. Because Asta not being able to do anything against it. Then Asta, wanting not to give up, to push himself even further, he unlocks another spell. He unlocks another spell. Let me know what spell he unlocks. I'll be ending it off here today. Thank you guys for listening. Goodbye. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want more of this content. Thank you guys.